Okay, where we left off in the last video was we were just finding the correlation coefficient for number 4, which is 0.96. So I'm going to write that down. And that shows a pretty strong positive correlation. Okay, next part. It says use the line of best fit to predict the number of cans sold when it's 95 degrees out. Well, degrees, temperature was my X, and number of cans sold was my Y. So I'm going to plug in, I'm going to substitute in the 95 for X and use my calculator to evaluate. I'm going to make sure I got all my digits here. Don't want to round it all. Yep, that's everything. Okay, I'm going to press this button right here under escape, which is just my calculator page, and I'm going to type this in. So it was 16.4163 times 95 minus 621.826. 937.723. Okay, so our slope is 16 approximately. So let's see if this makes sense. That means that there will be 16 more cans sold for every degree increase. So we're increasing to 95 degrees. So we are increasing what? 11 degrees? So we should be increasing whatever 11 times 16 is. Well, 10 times 16 is 160. So I should be increasing by more than 160. So 780 plus 160. Yeah, that seems like it's about right. Let's go look at our graph. So I'm just going to go to my home screen and click current. Take me back where I was. So I can actually slide this over a little bit. Slide this down a little bit. 95 degrees. Oh, I can't quite see it yet. Okay, there we go. 95 degrees, yeah, right above 900. Perfect. So I wanted to show you what happens if you round. So this 16.4, what if I just rounded to 16? And this 621.8, I'm just going to round to 622. That is a big difference. This is 898 and this is 937. So it is very, very, very important that you do not do this. No rounding.
Come on this way.
Okay, number 5. We're going to basically do the same exact thing, and we are going to use our equation to predict what happens, your height when your femur is 58 centimeters long. Femur is the big long bone going from your hip to your knee, if you didn't know. Okay, so back into the calculator. I'm going to get out of my scratch pad. I'm going to go to new document. I'm not going to save. Add a list in spreadsheets. I'm labeling X and Y. All right, time to type in my data. Go over here. Okay, so I have 50.1, 48.3, 45.2, 44.7, 44.5, 42.7, 39.5, and 38. Okay, over here for my heights, 178.5, 173.6, 164.8, 163.7, 168.3, 165, 154.4, and 155. Okay, I'm going to have to check all these. Fifty point one, 8.3, 45.2, 42, 49, 38, okay. Okay, perfect. All right, doc, insert, data and statistics, X, Y. All right, not bad. Menu, analyze, regression, show linear. We don't really have any outliers here. They're just not clustered very well. I wouldn't say that one piece of data is like all the way up here, that would be an outlier, or all the way down here, that would be an outlier. I just have, pretty much almost an even number as too big than too small. Okay, 1.9, 231. Where'd you go? X plus 80.6809. Is that right? Okay, correlation coefficient. So I have to go back now to page 1.1, and I have menu, stat calculations, mx plus b, pick x, pick y, and my r is 0.96. Okay, so not too bad. Okay, now we're going to use our line of fit to predict the height of a person when the femur is 58. So femur length again was x, height was y. So I'm just going to evaluate 1.9231 times 58 plus 80.6809. So what does this equation mean, first of all, before we do all this? The slope is 1.9. So basically it means that as your height increases by almost 2 centimeters, your femur length would increase by 1 centimeter. That's your slope, change in y over change in x. So I'm going to go to my calculator, go back to the Scratchpad page under escape, and type this in. 1.9231 times 58 plus 80.6809. 192.221. Okay. Domain and range. Domain is x values. Range is y values. So my domain, I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My range, I'm looking lowest to highest on the y's. These are y's, these are x's. So the lowest is -1, then 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 6. Okay, discrete values, so it's just a list. Which correlation coefficient most closely models a set of data? So we're looking on this continuum of -1 to +1. This being a strong positive, this being a strong negative, and then we would have a weak negative and a weak positive. So biggest number closest to 1 or -1 would be 0.91. And then here, biggest number closest to 1 or -1 would be -0.97. Okay, line perpendicular. If it's perpendicular, it's going to have an opposite reciprocal slope. So my slope in the problem is half. So opposite reciprocal means to make this positive number a negative number and flip the fraction over. It doesn't say how to write it. I'm going to write it in point slope form, then convert it to slope intercept form. So that would be y minus my y value is equal to my slope, x minus my x value. I'm going to make that negative a positive. To get into slope intercept form, I'm going to distribute, and then subtract 4. There we go. Okay, I'm parallel, so that would be same slope. So my slope is -1/4. So same thing, I'm going to use that same slope this time, and now I'm going to use my x and my y. So y minus the y value is equal to the slope, x minus the x value. Since this one started in point slope, I'm going to just leave it in point slope. Okay, what is the slope of the line perpendicular to this one? Well, this one has an undefined slope. So to be perpendicular, I need to make a right angle. So anywhere, I can do any line, and that would have a 0 slope. Write an equation in slope-intercept form that has a slope of -7 and a y-intercept of 4. Just writing it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Okay, solving my equation for x. I see that I have an x on the left and I have an x on the right. So I'm going to first distribute and get rid of these parentheses and then start using my inverse operations. So 10 minus 2x equals 8x plus 16. I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to get my x's on the same side together, so I'll do that by adding 2x. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. Divide by 10. My x is -1. I can always substitute this value back in to check it. If I take my original equation, okay, so -2 times -1 is +2. So 10 plus 2 is 12. -1 plus 2 is 1. And 8 times 1 plus 4 is also 12.